Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Adrienne Pedersen. For the first time in 18 years, Milwaukee voters will be electing a new mayor to lead them. Tonight, we welcome the candidates. Here with us tonight, Acting Mayor Cavalier Johnson and former Alderman Bob Donovan. We will be having an hour-long discussion talking all about the future of the city. First, though, I want viewers to know a little bit about you. Cavalier Johnson was born and raised in Milwaukee. He's 35, married with 3 children, and was elected 2nd District Alderman in 2016 and 2020. He served as Common Council President before becoming acting mayor when Mayor Tom Barrett stepped down last year to become a U.S. ambassador. Bob Donovan was also born and raised in Milwaukee. He's 65, married with 5 children and 11 grandchildren. He was elected 5 times as 8th District Alderman on Milwaukee's South Side and was the chair of the council's Public Safety Committee. He retired in 2020. Johnson and Donovan were the top 2 finishers in the February primary. The winner in April's election will serve the remaining 2 years of Barrett's term. Now, over the next hour, I'll be asking the candidates questions. Of course, they're free to talk to one another, but I will be managing the time and discussion. And at the end, each candidate will be asked to make a 1-minute closing statement. Throughout the debate, we'll be revealing some exclusive new poll results from the Greater Milwaukee Association of Realtors. Now, we did flip a coin to determine which candidate will get the first question. That will be Mayor Johnson. First, I want to set this up a little bit. So in the new poll, they asked residents if they think the city is on the right track or the wrong track. Let's take a look over here. 56% say the city is on the wrong track. Then if you look at the other side of this, 31% say it's headed in the right direction. But this election is providing an opportunity for change. This is a divided city. We know that. Take a look at the screen here. The Marquette Law School map of voting wards from February's primary. The wards show that Johnson is in the green and Donovan is in that yellow color. There's almost an exact line right across the city there. And I'm just interested, starting with you, Mayor Johnson, why did the results shake out like this with such a stark difference?
Well, Adrienne, first of all, thank you for having us here tonight. Really looking forward to the discussion with Alderman Donovan here. I think the line represents what we've known in Milwaukee for so long, that in this city we've had segregation. We've had people who unfortunately have lived in different neighborhoods, and I think part of that is because they haven't had access to family support and work. And when they don't have access to family support and work, they get locked into neighborhoods. And so we haven't seen that sort of integration into the neighborhoods that we would like to see. That's something that I'm looking to break down when I'm serving as mayor full time.
Alderman, why is there such a divide?
Well, if you're talking about the divide of the vote, I think that's obvious. Alderman Johnson represents a North Side district. He's well known on the North Side. I, for 20 years, represented a South Side district and certainly grew up on the South Side as he grew up on the North Side. So I think that probably plays a bigger role in the division in the votes in the primary than anything, really.
And there could be something else at play here. I want to ask you a follow-up on that, because Milwaukee is one of the most segregated cities in America. We all know that. Fewer people voted for you, Alderman, in February than the last time you ran in 2016. And you're not really getting that support from the Black community. Why aren't African-American people voting for you, and how do you get them out to the polls?
Well, first of all, I think that's changing, and I'm very pleased with some of the support we've picked up. Alderman Hamilton and his endorsement. He knows me. He knows, he's worked with me for 16 years on the Common Council. He knows the real Bob Donovan. Now, sometimes people judge others by what a 5-second soundbite on what they hear on TV or what they're told by others about a person. I would argue, though, I am an individual who is willing to work with anyone, any individual, any group, irregardless of race or ethnic background. After all, I represented a district for 20 years that was 70% minority. Probably one of Milwaukee's most diverse aldermanic districts. So I think that says a lot, to be returned to office 5 times because I got things done. And that's what this community, and I believe all of our people, irregardless of race or ethnic background, that's what they want in their local government, to get things working again.
Mayor, I'll ask you a similar question, just in a different way. I mean, you lost the south and southwest sides of the city for the most part. That has a majority of white residents. Why do you think you're not connecting with people who live on the south side?
Well, I think that we actually are. And I have been committed since day number 1 to fight for every single vote. in every single neighborhood. When you break down the data from the map that you just showed, Adrian, it says that we won every single African-American majority voting ward in the city. It says that we tied at least in some Hispanic majority voting wards in the city. It says that we won more white majority wards of any other candidate in the city in the primary election. It also says that we won 12 of 15 aldermanic districts in the city. So we won wards and districts from the far northwest side all the way to the south side, all the way to Bayview. We won the east side, we won the west side. And as I said, I'm going to be fighting for every single vote in every single neighborhood, campaigning on issues that Milwaukeeans care about, no matter where you live in the city.
I want to move on to public safety and crime now. Another poll question that was asked about, by far the largest number, nearly half of residents say that crime is the most important issue that you should focus on. You both have said that this is a big priority, if not the #1 priority in your campaigns. Now, I reached out to the Milwaukee Police Department. They tell me that the homicide clearance rate for last year was 51%. If you go back a few years, it was 76%. So I want to know, as mayor, how you would hold the police chief accountable specifically when it comes to the homicide clearance rate. I mean, they're not solving almost half the homicides right now. Mayor, I'll start with you.
Crime is out of control in Milwaukee. We have too many issues with crime, right? And we need to address it in a holistic way. I talk to police all the time. I've got a great relationship with police, including with the police chief. But when you talk to police officers, they'll tell you that they can't do the job alone. We need a holistic way to address the issue of public safety here in Milwaukee. And so this is what I will do. I'll be focused on public safety by working to make sure that we have additional folks to help boost the clearance rates in Milwaukee. I'll be working to make sure that we have violence prevention in Milwaukee. I'll be working to make sure we have earlier interventions in the lives, particularly of young people in Milwaukee. I'll be working to make sure we have mental health services, because not every single incident requires somebody with a badge and a gun. It needs somebody who has those sort of background and experiences to help them. And I'll be working to address the root causes of crime that we see in our city, the root causes of violence, which is poverty. And those are things I'll be working on as mayor in order to address public safety in Milwaukee.
Do you agree with those steps? How would you try to change that homicide clearance rate?
Well, first of all, you can't expect the Milwaukee Police Department to restore safety, order, and stability to our streets and neighborhoods without first providing them with the appropriate level of manpower. The Detective Bureau alone is down 30 to 40 detectives. They can't keep up. They can't even investigate all the crimes going on in this community, and certainly the homicide rate. In addition to that, we have seen so many officers, because of low morale, leaving right the minute they hit that 25-year mark, and they can with the full pension. We've seen more leave, and this is unprecedented. So many that have left even before they've reached that point because of the morale, because we have had individuals in leadership positions that have not supported our police when they needed the support.
Who are you referring to?
Well, I'm referring to my colleague, I'm referring to Mayor Barrett, I'm referring to a lot of public officials that jumped on the bandwagon in the defund the police movement, demonized our police. They need to know that their public officials, their leaders, their bosses have their back. And I believe they do know that. For 20 years, I was Mr. Public Safety. I stood up and called out our previous administration for leading the charge on reduction in manpower. My colleague, every year he's been, or my opponent, I should say, every year he's been on the council, he has voted to reduce police manpower. We have essentially gutted the department by hundreds and hundreds of positions.
I do want to give you a chance to respond to that.
And I would also say, yes, we do need a holistic approach. We do need to have crime prevention efforts. Without a doubt, I wholeheartedly support that. But we need to also ensure that who we're funding, the agencies that we're funding, are reporting back to us and making progress. We haven't seen that or heard from the Office of Violence Prevention on any of those things. Nobody can tell me what they've really accomplished. Yet we're pouring millions and millions more into that office. I want to support agencies that have earned and have worked hard and have accomplished things. We've got to do that with money so tight. We cannot afford to send good money after bad.
Well, and we'll dig into a lot of this over the next hour, but Mayor, I do want to give you a chance to respond to that. I mean, he was saying that you don't support the police.
I appreciate having the opportunity to respond to that because that is 100% false. As a matter of fact, under my leadership, when I was serving as council president before going into the mayor's office, I championed a federal cops hiring grant that was really controversial at first. It failed initially at the council, but I worked behind the scenes with members. I even employed a number of people to help encourage council members to pass it. Even though Bob Donovan is my opponent right now in the race for mayor, I called him. And I said, Bob, we care about this issue of public safety. Can you help me? And I'm glad.
Thanks for telling the truth on that.
And I'm glad that he did. I never. It's funny that he says I haven't lied about it, right? The thing here is that I was a leader, and as a leader, you have to get things done. And so sometimes you have to cross the aisle. I did, and the result is that we were successful in getting the COPS grant passed. So today, right now, there are 26 people, 26 police officers who swore the oath to protect and serve the people of Milwaukee. And they largely live in the city. They're African American, they're Asian, they're Hispanic, they're men, they're women. And they're protecting and serving the city right now. Bob Donovan, over the course of the last 20 years, he called himself Mr. Public Safety. And I understand that Bob has a genuine desire to care for the people who protect and serve our city. I don't doubt that. But the problem that I have here, Bob, is your willingness to fund them. You say that I have voted to not fund the police department. When you pass budgets and when you vote on budgets, you're either funding a department or you're not funding a department. You're either putting money into a department or you're defunding that department. And I voted to fund the police. I just did that last year when I put forward funding to make sure that it was there to bring on 195 additional officers. And I'll say this as well, that Bob, you pounded your fist on the table for 20 years. Trying to get to 2,000 police officers. You weren't able to bring the council together. How can you get to 2,000 officers? You can't even get the council to 8 members. You can't even get 8 votes.
I'll let you respond to that before we move on.
Absolutely. Now, let me tell you this. You need to start telling the truth to the citizens of Milwaukee. You have an obligation, and you're misleading them with this characterization that you're somehow adding 200 officers to our streets this year. That is absolutely absurd. You know it. I know it. The rest of our colleagues knows it, and half the city knows it. The reality is this: you don't even have 100 recruits to fill into that class of 200 or those 3 classes of 200. In addition to that, Cavalier, you know it. You need to start telling the truth. You know that they have to go through a background check. They have to go through testing that takes months and months and months. Physical test, a written test, a psychological test, a background check. There is no way that 200 cops are going to be added to our streets this year, and that's the impression in your commercials that you've left. That is a mischaracterization. You know it. Every year you've been an alderman, you have voted to reduce police manpower. I have voted against those budgets because of precisely that. It cut police manpower. I'm not looking for huge amounts of officers. I have never, and look at my public safety plan. It is so comprehensive, it even shows how we can pay for things, which certainly your plan doesn't. Having said that, my plan is comprehensive and addresses a variety of things, goes well beyond just police. You know and I know that I have said so many more things with public safety than just cops.
Final word on this, and then I want to move on to reckless driving.
Yeah, the plan that Alderman Donovan touts is from 2016. It's not been updated. In fact, it's not really even his own plan. It's a plan that was passed by the Public Safety Committee, and certainly he was chair, but that's the Public Safety Committee's plan. We put forward plans for today, right now, to address public safety in Milwaukee in 2022, not from half a decade ago. So Alderman Donovan's claim that he's got this great master plan on public safety, it just isn't true. It just isn't true.